Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Communities Live here on Sheffield Line 93.2 FM. Chris Zanelli here, and we have the coroner from the Dead and Living. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
I've got to ask you, coroner. What inspired you to become a musician?
Oh, that's a good question. My father played guitar, so since I was 10, I've been borrowing his guitars, and we had all these like pedals for guitars and amps laying around at home, so it was like an easy access. And then I think I discovered like the Nevermind with Nirvana, and from there I discovered like Swedish hardcore and punk music, and it kept going from there.
And I've got to ask you as well, Coroner, sorry. I was calling you by your first name, sorry about that.
No,
I've got to say, if there was anybody that you could work with in the near future, new or old, who would it be and why?
they're all dead, I was about to say, but not really. I think like you think about those kind of guys like Leonard Cohen. That was a huge inspiration for me, and it gets kind of like special when somebody that like influential disappears. But Bob Dylan is still alive.
Hmm.
Uh, but like looking at metal bands or punk bands, I don't know. I don't spend that much time thinking about like current artists or bands that we'd like to play with. But if any of the like established bands would like to do something together, or we could do something with some cool artist, we'd always be up for it.
And I've got to ask you as well. What was the first song that got your attention that you thought to yourself, gosh, I really want to become a musician? What was that first song?
I can remember plenty, but as I mentioned, we had Nevermind. So that was like Smells Like Teen Spirit all the way.
Mhm.
Uh, we would have like uh, we would play like fake play instruments and beat on drums and just like pretend to be in Nirvana. Just recently found a photo from that. We're not more than like 10 years old or something, and you see us outside a friend's house, and we're doing some sort of show. We have even had a manager who he was only there to make sure nobody was taking photographs. So it just recently showed up. It's hilarious. But I'll say Nirvana.
Interest. You never know. You never know if Dave Grohl, is it Dave Grohl that's in the band? Isn't it? Yeah, Dave
He
Grohl.
played drums, yeah.
Yeah, you never know. He might be listening to this, so you never know if he might be joining you in the near future one day. Who knows?
Yeah, he does a lot of collaboration. So if Jake calls us, we're gonna pick up. We're up for it.
And you've got a new EP as well, and we're going to talk about that later on. But you've got a new single called "Demons Till I'm Dead."
Yes.
So tell us about how that came together. Was it a long process, or did it come together quite quickly?
It's actually a long story. Because we released music 2019. So I wouldn't say we were like hyped. We maybe were more hyped in 2014, but we were kind of like coming back and releasing a new full-length album that took some time to make, and we were gonna like just like hit the pedal and just like go out and play and do lots of things in like March 2020. So it's like horrible timing. It was the worst timing possible. So because of that, we didn't want to like when things we didn't want to do these like live shows on what's it called, like the live streaming things on Zoom. Or, it
Yeah.
wasn't our thing. So when things started moving again, we wanted to release something new because the old album was already like 2019, and it was like what was it, like 2021 or 22 when things started moving again. So that's why it took some extra time. But then once we started like recording it, it was faster. And what inspired it, I don't know. The Damage is the name of the EP. That was like the first song, I think, and it explores kind of like other levels of the band. We used to be a 19th century like kind of like nostalgic vibe according to ourselves, but now it's like more explorative and like beyond. So, but Demons is more like down to earth. I think it's just a rock song.
And I've got to ask you as well. Because COVID, we've been through some challenging times with COVID. It's been a different experience for everybody. Like movies, music, everybody.
Mhm.
I've got to ask, how did it affect you music wise? I mean, did you what how do you feel it's changed the music industry?
Uh, I think it actually, I'm not like too analytic that I would like know what to like actually describe how this happened. I think is because of that and so on.
Yeah,
But I think that I think actually believe it changed everyone and especially like the music industry a lot.
yeah,
Because the shows are still like they're on now, but it's apparently not the same thing as before. And I think also there's like the last 10 years or maybe more, there's been an interesting change in music as well, that it gets um more like in a certain shape because you need to fit the streaming services and so on. So I think it's changed a lot. And I think it's something that we've always wanted to do a bit differently. Every time we hear like you should do this and now the songs need to be this length and so on, I think that's really harmful for music.
and I mean, you've got a new EP which you just mentioned. It's called Damage. Uh, when is it going to be released?
It's released 28th February. And then we had a vinyl campaign on Kickstarter as well. So it's going to be on vinyl, but as always when ordering vinyl, it's going to be a little bit delayed, I think. But we promise it's going to be shipped out to the ones who pre-ordered it and supported the campaign in March, I think. So February, March is the release for.
And how many songs is on the EP?
It's 4 songs. So
Well,
it's the 3 singles that are out now and one more song at the end.
and I mean, you mentioned vinyl, but how else can people get a copy of the EP?
This EP is not on CD, so it's on the streaming services, and you can either stream it or buy it and vinyl. So that's what we're doing at the moment. We could probably do CD as well if we go on like tour in Germany and like the rest of Europe. It's a bit bigger with CD there, but now initially it's we sell a lot more vinyl than CD these days.
And I mean, for anybody that wants to do this kind of job, like musicians and stuff like that, what advice would you give to our listeners?
I didn't used to say this, but I'm old enough to say it. Just don't do it. It's it's a lot of work, and you shouldn't be afraid of putting in a lot of work. But for me, it's like so. I mean, I've always known I was going to do this, and I think a lot of people can relate to that as well. That it's not an option. Like, oh, should I have a rock band or not? It's just something that's really a profound part of yourself. But I think like the focus on like digital numbers and like streaming and things is like it's a lot of work and a lot less playing. And looking at the pandemic, it was like only the other stuff and not playing. So if you're gonna do it, make sure that you spend uh, as much time on the road as you do on everything else. And I think that's what matters, or in the studio, because that's the fun part, like meeting the audience or writing music, I think.
And I mean, you're releasing your new EP on the February 28th. Will there be an upcoming tour as well eventually?
There's a release show here in Sweden, so we're starting there, and we're gonna play at the Swedish festival called Subkult. It's Swedish for like subcultural. So you have all these kind of like it's from goth bands to really strange stuff and punk and in between. So we're gonna do that. We might look at some other festivals this summer, and then we're gonna like obviously look to go to the UK or Germany and France and like where we used to tour.
If you
We
come to
did
the,
a
sorry, go on.
we did a month-long tour with Death Stars in 2014. So we've been on both these like small ones and the really, really intense ones. So
I was just going to say, if you do come to the UK, will there be a chance that you'll be coming to Sheffield?
I'd love to come to Sheffield. I don't think we play there. We have a good friend of the band from Sheffield. She's called Lauren. I don't know how you pronounce her last name. I think it's like Cathcart or like Cathcart. But shout out to Lauren. She was together with a bass player that was standing in a Death Stars tour that we supported. So we spent a lot of time hanging out with her, and we heard a lot about Sheffield. She played us like local music, like Lust for Youth. It's a band that Johan, the bass player, who was standing, they played a lot, when he was DJing here. And Bring Me the Horizon is from Sheffield, and that's huge. I think probably there's a metal scene, like a rock scene there. So if we have an even if it's a small possibility to come to Sheffield, we'd go right away.
Would love you to come to Sheffield. Hopefully, you will be able to come because I would love to come and see you if you do come to Sheffield.
Yeah, now I really want to go there too when we're talking about it. So we're gonna
And
make sure that.
I mean, for our listeners at home, I mean, do you have social media where people can follow you on?
Yeah, we tried. We were pretty early with social media. So it's any social media dot whatever, and they're dead and living in one word. So usually it's that address, so you can find us pretty much everywhere. We have TikTok as well, but we don't post when we cook food or something, or when we have breakfast and talk to the phone. But we're gonna try. There's two younger guys in the band now, the two guitarists, and they're trying to teach us. You should do this and this. So I don't know. It's not really my thing, but anything for the art, I guess. We'll see.
And my final question for you, thank you very much, Corinne, for joining me. So, but my final question to you is, what would you like to say to our listeners who is currently listening right now?
Do your thing. Just be yourself. It's not as bad as it seems. It'll be all right in the end.
Corinne, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Chris. Nice talking to you. I enjoy that.